Alright, so I'm just sitting down right here. I'm trying to change the timing belt on this thing. I got curious. I start checking out the heads, how they work on this guy. They got LMAs on both sides. There's the 8th gen rocker arms. They only have it on one side, which is the back side. Yeah. The crank sensor on this is also not on here. It's in. They moved it down here. It's got a little trigger. It's got a little gear that's inside the block. I don't know if you guys remember watching my first video when I tried to do a J36 with the A4 crank, and it had that little lip that won't fit inside the J32 A3. So I stopped. I put that crank away. My brother ended up taking it and did a J36 in his 6th gen Accord with it. He had a guy was able to shim it down to make it fit into a J30. I believe he put it in a J32 A3, J32 A2 in the CLS, the older model, and he ended up having a J36. I believe if you put the crank sensor from the older model in here, you could run this block in the older model over there. I don't know how it runs. I don't think I've seen anybody done it before. Also, if you were to be running this motor, you will have to change either the bell housing or run a TLS transmission to fit inside a 6th gen, due to the bell housing is different. So your 7th gen Accord transmission will not mate onto this block. I'm pretty sure all you guys know. Some of you guys probably know about that. I once owned a 7th gen. I know how it is. I still call it this. I love the 7th gen. Only thing I didn't like about it, because the motor wise that you wanted to put in it for power wise, you only have a couple choices. A J35 A6, I believe they said it works. A J32 A3 and a J30 A4 A5. Those are basically the only one that you could straight drop into a 7th gen over there without changing your transmission. And then it goes on to the 8th gen. That's why I went with the 8th gen, because it's easier to get a tuner for it. You get the transmission where you could play with the bigger motors. It's let's see what else too. You don't, for the 7th gen tuning, I had Honda on my 7th gen that I wrecked. You have to jump it to 2007, 2008 TLS ECU or ECM, and then after that you get the ECU, the jumper for it, and then you got to reprogram the key, and then you buy the Honda. It runs about, depends, $1,300, $1,500. That's a lot, you know. When you could just get a 8th gen, you just get a K tuner for it and $700, and you just drop right in, and you're good to go. The mount on this is different from the 7th gen and the 8th gen. My buddy with the silver 7th gen, as you guys see some of my videos, he's running this transmission on it to run the J37 A1 in his 7th gen. One of these days when he comes by, I'll make a video of it just so you guys could get the idea of, you know, how he did it. I'm pretty sure he didn't mount on his Accord. He just running the front, back, and the passenger side to work, to drive in his car. I don't know. Sometimes he do some weird shit, but you know, he got it going. And you know, let's see what else do I also need to cover too. There's the casting, that. Oh yeah, the VTEC. All right, the VTEC. Here it is. VTEC is controlled by the solenoid. You know, the ECM ECU triggers it. You know, engages. It locks the pin in the head for it to engage at a higher RPM. Yes, I know. I read online. Some people say how you can't run it because there's two activation for it. There's not really two activations for it. There's only one. It's controlled by oil. Once it triggers it locks. It sends oils to the head. It locks the pins in, and then the VTEC engages. That's it. Just like this. Same. The same VTEC solenoid. Once it engages, sends the oil in, locks the pins in for the VTEC to cross over, and you got VTEC on both sides. It's not that. Well, once we put it in, then we could just hear this thing start crying some VTEC. Let's see how it sounds like. Alright, get back to work here and start putting that timing belt on and throw it in the car.